PICA is a trade association representing the printing, converting, and graphic communications industry in North and South Carolina. PICATalk is brought to you by platinum sponsors Domtar, Prisco, Athens Paper, Mac Papers and Packaging, Manchester Industries, Recycling Management Resources, and Case Paper. I am Terry McKee, PICA's Director of Member Engagement. Today, we're exploring bindery and finishing, the unsung heroes of print. Joining me are Mike Jones from Brown's Bindery, Bryce Poremba of Elite Print Finishing, and John Mullis of Hearn Graphic Finishing. Thank you for joining me today, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
To start our conversation, what separates a good bindery or finishing job from a great one?
I can start that off, I guess. There's several things, I guess, that can help with the finishing of a great job. You know, one, how we receive the job. Obviously, you know, as simple as it sounds, when the job comes in, getting it off the truck, if it's palletized correctly, banded correctly, because I'm telling you, trucking companies, people don't understand when you get on the truck, and by the time it gets to us, I can't tell you how many times we're picking up stuff off the floor, trying to gather it back up, trying to make it look okay, and then, so that's one of the things. The other things is, the basic that we rely on our printers, our partners, to give us the product that we need, and most of them do a really good job. I mean, about everybody does. It's you want a good registration. When a job comes to us, whether it's perfect binding, saddle stitching, whatever it may be, we are hoping that they've ran covers grain correct, so eliminates any cracking or whatever. Also, one of the things is, for them, if tight registration, because when we take it to the folder, if you haven't backed it up, it's not backed up right, or you got bouncing problems, we're going to have problems. It just increases as we go. So we rely a lot on what we get to make it right, and that's to me is what makes a job really go well.
Bryce and John, would you?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Mike is correct in the sense that we are often a secondary thought in the production of whatever it may be, a package, a book, a magazine, a pocket folder. And so the more communication that we can have ahead of time and the more scheduling that we can have ahead of time, I think really helps us have that perfect job. If they can bring us in early on in the project planning conversation to let them know what our challenges could be or how we can set this project up for success, that's always super helpful. And then it allows for it to kind of be planned smoothly. So, when that truck comes in and when complications occur, as sometimes they do with jobs, if we're able to plan ahead and communicate ahead, we can build in room for things like that, and also forewarn customers about things that are coming up. So I think he explained that really well.
I'd like to add to that, and you've touched on it, Bryce, very much, and that is communication. It comes down to the big C. Everything has to be communicated. Nothing is too small to share with your trade finisher. And I'd like to add to this by saying we need to be perceived as a separate department within their organization. If we are trusted in that relationship, we should be seen as an integral part of their organization. And that changes everything. Right. We are perceived differently, not like the forgotten stepchild. We are just as important as any department within their organization.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great point. Talking about the different bindery and finishing processes, is there a particular process you think people still don't fully understand?
Yes, I think believe it or not, how simple and how many times we've seen it and been amazed by it. And that's foil stamping, hot stamping. You know, we take it as a common thing, acceptable thing, but there's so many factors involved for it to happen and happen well. And it still fascinates me today how it's done and how quickly it's done. And it's not, I said it in an earlier video, that it's not an exact science. So it goes back to what I said earlier. Everything is important in communication. Everything has to be revealed to the finisher so they can prepare and bring a great outcome for the end user.
Would you agree with that, Bryce?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we always encourage people to come look and come to our plants. I think these guys would welcome that as well. For those that are watching, anybody that wants to come learn more about what we do, it is simple in some ways and it's amazing in some ways. And I think it gives people a great perspective when they're able to come in and see it. There's a lot that goes into what we do, and sometimes we are forgotten about and told about things at the last second, or the problem solvers, and we've all adjusted well and been able to do that. To go back to new technology, hot foil stamping has kind of been something where we've been doing that for a while. A new piece of technology specifically for us is the emergence of like digital, and I'm sure these guys have digital finishing techniques as well, but we've been doing a lot of digital foil stamping and digital UV coatings on packaging products or commercial print. And that's something that we really encourage people to get us into the conversation early, communicate with us early, because the potential to make those products over the top, take them to the next level. We have so many more options than we did before. And so I think it's really good when we can, as opposed to, hey, this is the book that we've already designed and we want you to make it better. If we can be a part of the conversation of, hey, this is the book we're going to design and we'd love your input on how we can make it special. That's when it can turn into that great finishing job. And so, yeah.
Those are two totally different conversations, aren't they?
Yeah, for sure. Very much so.
What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I agree with the guys there. They're right on. And, with us, with the customers we have, which is the same for them, we've been working with these folks for many years. And we sometimes take for granted that they know what we're doing because they've done it with us for so long. And then, sure as the world, what happens is, as some folks, as we all get older, we retire and they bring in newer folks and younger folks come in. And they may not know, they may not understand, and even some of us may not understand. So for us, though, one of the big things is, perfect binding. I can't tell you how many times we get somebody to flood coat the inside of a cover, and it's like they did not leave a knockout for the glue, for the side glue nor spine glue. That's a problem. And, just like Bryce is saying, if you would communicate with us beforehand, and they obviously assume they're doing right, or they would communicate, and the same for us, we'd reach out and say, hey, if we did not think you knew, we'd tell you. But that's what all of us are there for. We are the pros, we're the professionals. If you have questions, ask before you do it, and we'll be glad to do it. And Bryce, like you said, folks can come out to the plant. We encourage it. We charge extra if you come to our plant. But
A little revenue stream there.
we don't want you. No, I'm just kidding. But we will gladly help you any way we can. But those are some of the things. Perfect bind is so much. You got, when you're doing a perfect bind book, you got to get the right amount creep in the gutter. So and people will lay it out where they got crossovers right in the perfect bound book, and it's almost impossible to get it just right, but if you've got somebody that's been doing this for years on the end laying it out, they know what they're doing, they know what we can do on our end. We can take less grind, more grind, and kind of increase it, decrease it, make it look better. So There's a lot of things we can do, but if we all work together,
Yeah. What? Where's my question at? What's a bindery or finishing related mistake you see customers just continually making over and over?
Go ahead, John.
No, Mike, I think you're the one that needs to be speaking now.
Well, I think I kind of answered that before with, the biggest mistake that I see over and over is the coating on the inside of the covers.
Oh, okay.
That's one thing that we see happen more than anything else, I guess you'd say.
Wow.
And then we do get customers that don't run with the grain correct, and they're wondering why we got cracking, and it's hard to fix that.
I was going to ask, how do those things affect the bindery and finishing process?
Well, the coating on the inside it makes it you basically almost have to reprint the covers. Now with PUR glue, it does adhere. It'll bite into some things that the old glue would not do, and we can try that, and it does good. And PUR glue, you basically have to let it sit up for 24 hours to really get a good idea of what you got. But we know when it comes off, we pretty much know what we got.
Yeah.
But it's risky, and when you present that with the customer, they got a lot of money tied up in this thing, and 9 times out of 10 they're going to go back and reprint the cover, and it's bad that it gets to that point, but it does, and another thing you're asking about is one of the things we run into quite a bit, and John and Bryce probably have gotten to see the same thing is, when a job comes in, it's impossible for us to count every single thing that comes in. But when you get into a job and you're running and you come up short and you got to call them and tell them you're short, it's like, well, no, we ran plenty. And it's like, I understand, but we don't have them and I don't see them. So that's one of those things, trying to communicate, trying to work through those. But again, a lot of that comes from long-time relationships. You got to be trusted, and we trust our customers as well as they do us. But those are some of the things, we struggle with a lot of times. I wish there was a way we could count everything as it came right through the door. And so we knew, hey, we got a lot to work with here. Or, man, this is tight, But it's just, some of that. But the covers being coated is probably one of the larger issues.
Yeah. Okay. Bryce?
I think our challenges have came with the new digital print. A lot of what we do, and John similar, is foil stamping and coating, and offset inks have we've gotten used to them. We've had a lot of experience with them, and it seems like every day a new digital printing press comes out.
Right.
And so for us, a lot of times we're laying down a coating or we're laying down foil on top of the ink. And so when it comes off of a toner-based product, or even some of the new ink-based digital presses, the chemistry is just a little bit different. And it's like we kind of get it dialed in for the equipment that came out last year, and then all of a sudden there's changes, in the industry and with the equipment. So I think for us, it's the constant challenge is, and I don't think it's a fault of our customers. They're obviously investing in equipment that they think is going to benefit them, but us trying to keep up with it and make changes to solve more problems, I guess, is the answer I have.
Okay. John, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, going along with what Bryce said, and knowing what we're applying our process to, the substrates, the ink. Did you use water-based inks? Did you use water-based coatings? Did you do the coating inline or out of line? It comes right back down to communication. Nothing is too small to communicate.
Right.
And you can't, we know if you assume where that takes us. And it's all about the chemistry and how it's going to work. And and if you take it for granted, then it becomes a crapshoot. And some of us are gamblers and some of us are not. Some of us can afford to lose and others can't. So
That's right.
it's great to communicate every small morsel that we can gather makes us more successful.
Absolutely. Has there ever been a time where bindery or finishing saved a print job?
Absolutely. For one, the one I just explained, the 12 by 12s in there,
Yeah.
we should not be running it, but we're able to run it. We've also ran into some, we've had just numerous jobs through the years. We've gotten jobs in that actually have, believe it or not, should have been, they're perfect bound jobs, but they come laid out as a saddle stitch book. And those two are totally different. You know, they saddle and others stack on top of each other. So what do we do to save it? You know, we'll take it and we can trim it down into singles, collate it back into a single sheet book, and then hand drop it, you know, make a perfect bound book. So yeah, there's, it's just numerous, I don't know, there is anything, you know, in the bindery, we're tweaking and we're getting all we can get out of every job anyway, trying to get to that perfect point, you know, and we want it, when it goes out the door, you know, we got self-pride. We want it to be the best it can be and the customer to be happy with it. And you know what? A lot of people don't really understand, and this is kind of going off the subject a little bit, but, you know, in the bindery and these guys as well, when we're in the finishing, you know, when a job comes in, like, let's say a perfect bound book, you know, we stand to make X amount of dollars, which is a very small amount, you know, compared to what that job costs. And by the time we are at the end, there's a lot riding on that job, and you know it's really it's almost scary, and it's almost like, why do you do that? Because you stand a chance to make $1,000, but if you mess it up, you just bought yourself 25,000. You know, and it's like, man, those odds are tough. But you know, as John and Bryce have said, it's all about communication. You got to communicate. You got to have good, skilled people, and know what you're doing, and you know, but yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Bryce?
it's really fun when we're able to solve a problem that's gotten to us and may not be something we've caused, right? So printer comes, in Mike's case, it's, you know, a book that's not been set up appropriately for binding. In our case, a folding carton that has the wrong coating on it, or a already die cut folding carton that was supposed to be stamped that's not stamped, right? We had a massive job that was really cool, to where, you know, your customer reaches out, and it's exactly right that our portion of the total cost of these jobs is so small. And so, you know, for our customers, this could be hundreds of thousands of dollars riding on these jobs, and we're going to find a solution that only costs a couple $1,000, but it's saving. Maybe we should charge more, now that I think about it. No, but you know, we had a project in that was for a pharmaceutical packaging job, and somehow they did not realize that there was supposed to be foil on 1.6 million cartons. And luckily, we were able to put them on our kludgy, and you know, it took a long time, but it saved a tremendous amount of material, and they were very happy that we were able to do that. And so, although those conversations are difficult, and we can't always find a solution, but in the cases that we can, it's really satisfying for us, and obviously to the customer.
Sure. Sure. Well, switching gears a little bit, you know, I do their PICA resume register, and I hear all the time, you know, from printers and binders and everybody, you know, do you have any bindery people? Do you have any people looking to go in bindery? And the fact of the matter is, those are unicorns at this moment, you know. But where was I? Is what skills are most important for someone who is wanting to work in the bindery today, or what skills do you look for in someone when you're looking to hire?
A good attitude.
What about like being mechanically inclined?
Well, that was yeah,
help?
that absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
If my ideal guy, if you walk in the door and you came in and you the good attitude, got a smile on your face, you're mechanically inclined. You can read a ruler,
Yes.
and and I'll tell you, when I was managing general manager in some of these binderies, my first thing was I get you in there and I talk to you and I really like you. I get you up and I want to take you through the plant. When I walk out the door, I walk pretty fast, which in the bindery business you just got to do it. And if you're not with me, it kind of just it gives me a bad taste right off the bat. I need somebody. You got to hustle. You gotta. There's a lot of things. Bindery is kind of tough because you got to be a guy that has all these things that we're just now talking about. Also, you've got to be willing to work overtime because in the binder business, we're the last one and we're always getting it 3 days late and they still need it tomorrow. And man, on Thursday, it's come to Fridays where Friday by lunchtime, they may walk up to you, hey Mike, I really hate to ask you, but I gotta have it. This customers need this job, and they gotta have it Monday. They gotta show, and it's
Right.
you just got to find it. It's a very very special person that you're looking for, and it is very hard to find.
Mm-hmm. What for students in colleges and graphic communications classes, whatnot, especially in the 2-year schools, what classes or what should they do to prepare if they want a career in bindery? What should they do?
I mean, as far as classes, I don't really know. I mean, obviously, you're going to use your math skills all the time because we're constantly measuring.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I would love to encourage the young folks if they. I tell everybody things have changed so much. If a good young man comes out of high school, college, wherever, and he comes to us, man, you're getting paid to go to school. Basically, this is a trade you're going to learn. You can take with you anywhere. But I hope if we teach you, you stay with us. But
Yeah.
we just don't see enough of that. I wish we would see more young folks encouraged and interested in what we're doing because we would definitely open the door to them and bring them in, and we'd love to have a few.
I think anything mechanical, Terry, there's nobody that has our equipment except for us.
Right.
Right.
It's so unique. There's a lot of printing companies that have a lot of pieces of printing equipment that, in programs that are designed around those.
Mm-hmm.
What we do is a lot different. And so, anything mechanical, we love, and, just showing that you can finish your high school diploma or that you can finish your 2-year degree, matched with a good attitude and the ability to learn. That's a big thing for us. You come to school when you come here, really. I mean,
Yes,
it's a
absolutely.
lot to learn, and there's no real other way to learn it than to do it and
Right.
to learn from experience of those around you. So, I would just encourage kids that love to be mechanical, that love to work on equipment and put things together and take things apart. This is a great space for you.
Awesome. Well, I think that'll do it for today's for the unsung heroes of print of the printing industry. I thank you all for joining me today and talking about bindery and finishing. I think that we don't talk enough about it, and what you guys do is amazing, and it adds dimension and pop to printing pieces all the time, and we see it with the PICA Awards. When we have judges come in and they look at it, they're like, wow, look at that foil, look at that bindery. And they always look at how crisp edges are in the folds and all that. So it's noticed. And we thank you for that so much.
I'd like to take the opportunity to say thank you to the PICA organization for spotlighting our segment of the industry. I always see ourselves as the tail of the dragon.
Absolutely. Well,
But
it's our pleasure, John.
we're the end of the story. And for you to spotlight it, we feel very, very pleased. Thank you.
You're
Absolutely.
welcome. It's my
Yeah,
pleasure.
thanks for having us.
Thank you, Terry. Appreciate you having us.
All right. We'll see you
Enjoy it.
later. Thank you so much for joining us at this episode of PICATalk.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for subscribing. So very much hit that subscribe button down below and ring that notification bell. Thank you so much.